It's 11 p.m. The power just went out. You grab your brand new portable power station, the one you spent $800 on last month. You plug in the fridge. The little screen blinks once and shuts off. Not enough power. The milk, the eggs, the leftovers, all of it starts warming up. You stare at this heavy metal box on your counter and think, I thought this was supposed to handle everything. That box isn't broken. You just bought the wrong one. And almost everybody does. Here's the real problem. Most people shop for a portable power station the way they shop for a TV. They look at one big number, watt-hours on a power station, inches on a TB, and pick the biggest one they can afford. But watt-hours alone don't tell you if the unit can actually run your stuff. It's like buying a truck based only on the size of the gas tank. A big tank means nothing if the engine can't pull your trailer up a hill. There are 3 things you need to get right before you hand over your money. Miss any one of them, and you'll either waste cash, lose food in an outage, or sit in the dark wondering what went wrong. Those 3 things are knowing your actual loads, understanding the battery inside, and having a real plan to charge the thing back up. Let's break each one down. No hype, no brand worship, just the stuff that actually matters. The common approach: most beginners walk into a store or open a browser tab and think, I want to run my fridge, my phone, maybe a lamp, and perhaps a CPAP machine. Then they pick a power station that says 1,000 watt-hours on the front because the number sounds big. They don't do any math. They just trust the marketing photos that show a happy family running a blender, a TV, and string lights all at once. Why it fails in the real world: 2 numbers matter, and most people only look at one. The first number is watts. That's how much power something needs right now, at this moment, to run. Think of it like water pressure in a hose. The second number is watt-hours. That's how much total energy is stored in the battery. Think of it like the water tank behind the hose. Your fridge might only use about 150 watts while it's humming along, but the moment the compressor kicks on, that motor that makes the cold, it can spike to 800 or even 1200 watts for a few seconds. That spike is called surge or startup power. If your power station can only push out 1,000 watts at peak and your fridge surges to 1,200, the station shuts itself off to protect its circuits. Doesn't matter if you have a massive battery. The hose can't handle the pressure. And here's the other side. Maybe your power station can push enough watts, but the battery is too small. A mid-size fridge uses roughly 1 to 2 kilowatt-hours per day. That's 1,000 to 2,000 watt-hours. If your station only holds 1,000 watt-hours, you might get about half a day of fridge time, and that's if you're running nothing else. The better approach: before you buy anything, do a simple load audit. That's just a fancy way of saying, make a list of the things you'd actually plug in. Here's how. Walk around your home. Pick only the things you truly need during a power outage. Not everything you'd like, just what you need. For most people, that's refrigerator, a few LED lights, phone charger, 1 or 2, maybe a medical device like a CPAP, maybe a Wi-Fi router. Now flip each item over or check the sticker on the back. You'll see a label that says something like 120V 1.5A or 15V 1.5A, or write down the wattage for each item. If it lists amps instead of watts, just multiply amps times volts. So 1.5 amps times 120 volts equals 180 watts. Add up all those wattage numbers. That total tells you the minimum continuous output your power station needs. Then check startup surge for anything with a motor, fridge, fan, air conditioner. A safe rule of thumb: assume the surge is about 2 to 3 times the running wattage. Your power station's peak or surge rating needs to meet or beat that number. Finally, think about how long you need things to run. If you want the fridge and a few lights for 24 hours, multiply the total running watts by 24. That gives you a rough watt-hour target for the battery, but keep reading, because you can't actually use 100% of most batteries safely. We'll cover that in part 2. The trade-offs: bigger capacity means heavier units and higher cost. A 2,000 watt-hour station can weigh 50 to 60 pounds or more. If you live in a third-floor apartment, that matters. If you need to move it to your car in a hurry, that matters even more. There's always a balance between enough power and I can actually carry this. Also, the more devices you run at once, the faster the battery drains. Running a fridge, plus a space heater, plus a TV will burn through a 1,000 watt-hour battery in just a few hours. Do this today checklist for part 1. Walk through your home and list every device you'd plug in during an outage. Write down the running wattage for each device. Check the label on the back or bottom. For anything with a motor, fridge, fan, AC, pump, Multiply running watts by 3 to estimate startup surge. Add up all running watts, that's your minimum continuous output need. Decide how many hours you want to run everything. Multiply total running watts by hours. That's your rough battery size target. Be honest. Cut the nice-to-have items. Keep only the need-to-have items. One common mistake to avoid: don't trust the product listing photos. They'll show a power station running a circular saw, a mini fridge, a drone, and a coffee maker all at once. That's marketing, not reality. The photo doesn't tell you how long any of those things ran. Maybe the blender ran for 30 seconds to take the picture. Your job is to do your own math. It takes about 15 minutes, and it can save you hundreds of dollars. The common approach: most people never even look at what kind of battery is inside their power station. They see lithium on the box and think, great, same stuff as my phone. It must be good. They assume all lithium batteries are the same. They're not even close. Why it fails in the real world. There are two main battery types you'll find in portable power stations today. NMC, nickel manganese cobalt. This is the older, more common chemistry. It packs a lot of energy into a smaller, wider package. That sounds great, and it is, for things like laptops and phones. But NMC batteries wear out faster. Most are rated for about 500 to 800 full charge cycles before they drop to around 80% of their original capacity. A cycle means draining the battery from full to empty and charging it back up. If you cycle it once a week, that's roughly 10 to 15 years before it loses serious capacity. But if you're using it daily, like for off-grid living, you could hit that limit in under 2 years. NMC batteries also have a slightly higher risk of thermal events. That's a polite way of saying they can overheat or, in rare cases, catch fire if they're damaged, cheaply made, or charged incorrectly. The risk is low with reputable brands, but it's real. LFP, lithium iron phosphate, also called LiFeO4. This is the newer chemistry showing up in most mid-range and premium power stations. LFP batteries are heavier and a bit bulkier for the same amount of energy, but they last much longer, typically rated for 2,500 to 3,500 cycles before dropping to 80% capacity. Some manufacturers claim even more, but those numbers are often measured under perfect lab conditions, not real-world use. Still, even at the low end, LFP gives you roughly 3 to 5 times the cycle life of NMC. LFP is also more chemically stable. It handles heat better and has a lower risk of thermal runaway. That's why it's becoming the standard for home energy storage and electric buses, applications where safety and longevity matter more than saving a few pounds. The better approach: for most beginners, LFP is the smarter buy today. Yes, it's a bit heavier. Yes, the upfront price might be slightly higher watt-hour for watt-hour, but the math works out over time. Think of it this way: if an NMC unit costs $600 and lasts 700 cycles, your cost per cycle is about 86 cents. If an LFP unit costs $800 and lasts 3,000 cycles, your cost per cycle is about 27 cents. Over the life of the battery, the cheaper unit actually costs you more. There's one more thing most people don't know. Depth of discharge matters. That's how low you drain the battery before recharging. If you drain any lithium battery to absolute zero over and over, it wears out faster. Most manufacturers recommend keeping the charge between about 20 and 80% for daily use. That sweet spot extends battery life significantly. Only drain to zero when you truly need every last bit of juice, like during an actual outage. And here's something nobody puts on the box: storage matters. If you buy a power station and stuff it in a hot garage for 6 months at 100% charge, you're aging the battery faster. Store it around 50% to 60% charge in a cool, dry place. Check it every 2 or 3 months and top it off if it drops below 30%. The trade-offs: LFP batteries are roughly 20% to 35% heavier than NMC batteries with the same watt-hour rating. If you're backpacking or need ultra-portable power, that weight difference matters. For car camping, home backup, or apartment use, it usually doesn't. LFP also performs a bit worse in very cold temperatures, below about 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 degrees Celsius. Charging an LFP battery in freezing conditions can damage it permanently, unless the unit has a built-in low-temperature charging cutoff. Most decent units sold today have this feature, but check the spec sheet. If you live somewhere that gets seriously cold, this is worth verifying. NMC still makes sense in a few situations. Ultra-lightweight needs, small units under 300 watt-hours for hiking or travel, or if you won't cycle the battery often. Do this today checklist for part 2. Check the battery chemistry of any power station you're considering. Look for LFP or LFP or thiol-LFP04 in the specs. If it just says lithium-ion without specifying, it's most likely NMC. Look up the cycle life rating. Compare the cost per cycle, not just the sticker price. Check if the unit has a low temperature charging cutoff, especially important if you're in a cold climate. Plan to store the unit at 50 to 60% charge in a cool, dry area if you won't use it regularly. Avoid draining to 0% during everyday use. Keep it between 20% and 80% when possible. One common mistake to avoid: don't chase the biggest watt-hour number and ignore the battery type. A 2000 watt-hour NMC unit that dies after 500 cycles is a worse investment than a 1500 watt-hour LFP unit that lasts 3000 cycles. The spec sheet tells a story, but only if you read the whole thing. The common approach: most people buy a power station, charge it once from the wall outlet, and set it in a closet. They figure they'll deal with recharging when the time comes. Some people buy a solar panel at the same time because the bundle deal looked good. They imagine setting the panel on the porch and watching the battery fill up like magic. Why it fails in the real world. Let's start with wall charging. It works great when the power is on, but the whole reason you bought a power station is for when the power is off. So if your only charging plan is the wall outlet, you got a single-use battery. Once it's empty, it's a paperweight until the grid comes back. Now let's talk about solar. Solar panels are amazing, but beginners almost always overestimate how much power they'll actually get. Here's why. A 200-watt solar panel produces 200 watts only under perfect conditions: direct sunlight, perfect angle, clear sky, moderate temperature. In the real world, you'll typically get about 60% to 80% of the rated wattage. On a cloudy day, it can drop to 10% to 25%, and you only get strong sunlight for a limited window, roughly 4 to 6 peak sun hours per day in most parts of the US, depending on your location and the season. So that 200-watt panel might realistically produce about 600 to 900 watt-hours per day under decent conditions. If your power station has a 2000 watt-hour battery, it could take 2 to 3 sunny days to fully charge from solar alone. That's a lot slower than most people expect. And then there's car charging. Most power stations come with a 12-volt car adapter, a cable that plugs into your vehicle's cigarette lighter port. This works, but it's slow. Most car outlets are fused at about 10 to 15 amps, which means you're pulling roughly 120 to 180 watts. Charging a 1000 watt-hour battery from your car could take 6 to 8 hours or more. And you're running your car engine the whole time, burning gas. It's a real option, but it's not fast or free. Some higher-end power stations let you connect directly to your car battery with alligator clips or an Anderson connector, which can be faster. But this requires more knowledge, and if you do it wrong, you could drain your car's starter battery. Not ideal when you're already in an emergency. The better approach: build a charging plan with at least 2 methods. Think of it like having 2 ways out of a building. If one exit is blocked, you use the other. Here's a realistic plan for most people: primary, wall charging. Charge your power station fully before storm season or any expected event. Set a calendar reminder to top it off every 2 to 3 months, even if nothing is happening. Batteries slowly lose charge just sitting there. It's called self-discharge. Secondary, solar. Get a solar panel that matches your power station's input rating. This is important. Every power station has a maximum solar input, usually listed in volts and amps or watts. If you buy a panel that puts out more voltage than your station can accept, you could damage the charge controller. If you buy a panel that's too small, charging will be painfully slow. A good starting point for most 1000 to 2000 watt-hour stations: 1 or 2 200-watt panels. This gives you a reasonable daily charge without spending a fortune. You can add more panels later if needed. Most stations let you connect panels in parallel to increase current. Tertiary, car charging. Keep the car charging cable in your vehicle. It's not your main plan. It's your backup. Use it when you're driving anyway, like evacuating, not as a primary charging source. Here's one thing almost nobody talks about: charge timing matters. During an extended outage, you don't want to drain the battery to 0 and then wait a full day of sunshine to bring it back. Instead, use a rotation strategy. Run essential devices for a few hours, then turn them off. Let the solar panel work during daylight to partially recharge. Run devices again in the evening. This way, you're sipping power instead of gulping it. Think of your power station like a water well that refills slowly. If you pump it dry all at once, you're stuck waiting. If you take smaller amounts throughout the day, the well keeps up. A note on pass-through charging. Some power stations let you charge and use them at the same time. This is called pass-through charging. It's handy, but be aware, it can generate extra heat and may wear the battery faster over time. Check your unit's manual. Some manufacturers specifically say not to do it regularly. Others have designed their electronics to handle it safely. Don't assume, read the manual. A note on gas generators as a charging source. Some people pair a portable power station with a small gas generator. The generator charges the battery, and the battery runs your quiet, indoor safe devices. This can work well, but a few safety warnings. Never run a gas generator indoors or in a garage. Carbon monoxide is odorless and deadly. Every year, people die from running generators in enclosed spaces during outages. Place it outside, at least 20 feet from windows and doors, with the exhaust pointing away from the house. A gas generator adds complexity, fuel storage, noise, and maintenance. It's a useful tool, but it's not the simple plug-and-play experience most beginners want. If you're considering a generator for serious backup, talk to a licensed electrician about safe connections, especially if you ever think about connecting anything to your home's wiring. The trade-offs: solar panels cost money, take up space, and depend on weather. A quality 200-watt portable panel runs about $250 to $450. Two of them, and you're adding $500 to $900 to your total investment. They also need to be positioned correctly, facing the sun, angled right, not shaded by trees or buildings. If you live in an apartment with a north-facing balcony, solar might not work well for you. Car charging is slow and uses gasoline. It works in a pinch, but it's not efficient. Wall charging is the easiest and fastest method, but it's useless when the grid is down. No single charging method is perfect. That's why you layer them. Do this today checklist for part 3. Check your power station's maximum solar input, volts and watts. Write it down. If you don't have a solar panel yet, research one that matches your station's input specs. Don't just grab the cheapest one. Find your car charging cable. Put it in your vehicle now, not later. Set a phone reminder to check and top off your power station every 2-3 months. Pick a spot outside where you'd set up a solar panel. Check for shade and sun exposure at midday. If you own a gas generator, make sure you have a carbon monoxide detector with fresh batteries in your home. This is non-negotiable. One common mistake to avoid: don't buy a solar panel bundle without checking compatibility. Some brands sell bundles where the panel and the station are perfectly matched. Others sell generic panels that may not play well with your unit's charge controller. Mismatched voltage can mean zero charging or even damage. Always check the specs. If the product listing doesn't clearly state the solar input limits, call the manufacturer or find another brand that's transparent about it. Alright, let's pull all 3 parts into a simple plan. Here are 3 levels based on budget and needs. Pick the one that fits where you are right now. You can always upgrade later. Basic: I just want something that works. Roughly $300 to $600 one power station with LFP battery, around 500 to 700 watt-hours, with at least 600 watts continuous output, no solar panel yet. Charge from wall and car. Best for apartment renters, phone and laptop charging, LED lights, small medical devices like a CPAP. Limitations: won't run a full-size fridge for long. No recharging during an extended outage unless you add solar later. Good first step if you're on a tight budget. You can add a solar panel in a few months when funds allow. Better: I want to cover the basics for a day or two. Roughly $800 to $1,500, $1,500 one power station with LFP battery, around 1,000 to 1,500 watt-hours, with at least 1,500 watts continuous output and 2,500 plus watt surge. One 200-watt portable solar panel. Best for homeowners, small families, running a fridge plus lights plus phone chargers plus a router for a day or two. Limitations: one solar panel will recharge slowly. You might need to rotate which devices you run. Won't power heavy loads like air conditioning or electric heaters. This is the sweet spot for most beginners. Covers genuine emergencies without breaking the bank. Best: I want real resilience for multi-day outages. Roughly $2,000 to $4,000 plus one large power station with LFP battery, 2,000 plus watt-hours with 2,000 plus watt-hours with 2,000 plus watts continuous output. 2 to 4 200-watt solar panels, connected in parallel. Optional: a second smaller power station as a backup or for a different area of the house. Best for rural homes, areas with frequent long outages, families with medical equipment needs. Limitations: heavy, expensive, more gear to store, maintain, and set up. Solar panels need space and good sun exposure. Trade-off: you're spending serious money, but you get genuine multi-day capability as long as the sun cooperates. One important note for all 3 levels: a portable power station is not a whole home backup. It's a targeted tool. You're keeping the essentials alive, not running your house like normal. If you need to power an entire home, air conditioning, water heater, electric stove, washer, and dryer, you need a different solution entirely, like a standby generator with a transfer switch installed by a licensed electrician. That's a separate topic for a separate video. Let's bring it home. Here's what we covered in 5 quick bullets. First, list your actual loads. Write down the watchings for every device you'd really need in an outage. Add them up. Check for startup surge on anything with a motor. This step alone prevents most buying mistakes. Second, pay attention to the battery chemistry. LFP lasts longer and is safer for most people. Compare cost per cycle, not just sticker price. Store the unit properly and avoid draining it to zero every time. Third, build a charging plan with at least 2 methods. Wall charging is your everyday go-to. Solar is your grid-down lifeline. Car charging is your emergency backup. No single method covers every situation. Fourth, size your system to your real life. Don't overbuy because a YouTube ad made you nervous. Don't underbuy because you skipped the math. There's a right-sized answer for your home, your family, and your budget. Fifth, a power station is a tool, not a magic box. It works brilliantly when you match it to the job. It fails badly when you guess. Here's the motto I want you to remember. The best power station is the one that matches your list, not the one with the biggest number on the box. Write that down. Tape it to your desk. Think about it before you click add to cart. You don't need to spend a fortune. You don't need the fanciest brand. You need 15 minutes with a notepad, a calculator, and an honest look at what you'd actually plug in when the lights go dark. That's it. That's the whole game. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell me, what's the one device you absolutely need to keep running during a power outage? And do you know its wattage? Seriously, go check the label right now. Come back and type it in the comments. I'll bet half of you will be surprised by what you find. And if you found this helpful, here's what to watch next: how to size a solar panel for your power station without overpaying, because the panel is where most people waste money or buy the wrong thing. We'll break down exactly how to match panels to your unit, how sun angles work, and whether foldable or rigid panels make more sense for your setup. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it. I'll see you in that one.